Hello, I'm Taylor Mershon. Welcome to my portfolio. Let's jump right in. This first project here is my airplane alphabet book, which started out as a collection of drawings of many different aircraft I've seen or flown in over the years. Originally, this was a 6-inch by 6-inch board book for toddlers, but since the content is a bit more technical and the length of the book is 32 pages in 17 spreads, I changed the book to softcover, the dimensions to 8 by 8, and the audience to 5 to 9 years old. After planning which planes to use for which letters, I ended up illustrating 19 new airplanes. I also drew my own font for the big capital letters on each page. My beverage package design project includes 2 parts under one company that I came up with, which is Sweet Teas. There's the Tea Tales line of tea mocktails and the Tea plus Kava nightcaps line of beverages as well. As you'll see in my portfolio, my favorite thing to do is illustration, and this is something that I integrate heavily into every single project. All of the hand-drawn logos and illustrations are my own original work, and I typically use Procreate on iPad for my art. My editorial fashion design spread was inspired by some years-old clothing design drawings of mine that I found. Taking ideas from these original designs, I created more designs until I had a whole collection, and I built the Lima brand. Leaning into the Earth-first fashion idea helped to grow the content for the article's copy, and one of my favorite parts of the project was drawing the cotton plant on the last page of the spread. The images I used are from Unsplash and are copyright-free. I carefully picked images displaying neutral clothing with an editorial look that loosely aligned with the style of my clothing collection so that the spread would look cohesive enough, even though the clothing in my designs obviously hadn't been produced, modeled, or photographed. This sponsorship pitch was certainly a niche project, and my research leans heavily on race car and extreme athlete sponsorship pitches, since those were the closest I could compare to. The biggest challenge with this design was getting the colors to match up, since the pilot's branding and the color of the plane is bright pink, and the Crunch Labs color is primary red and blue. Another thing I learned was how to make the copy work in my design without actually editing the words. The placement, breakup, size, and emphasis of the actual words was what I had control to manipulate, and I had to learn how to use that. This project is a collaboration with my sister, who painted and drew all of the artwork here that is not digital. Tumbling Oak Farm is her and her husband's business, and the logos here were made by me earlier this year for her as a part of a branding project when she first launched her company. They primarily sell cut flowers. The audience for the project is the customers, and we wanted to make the product more attractive. So I illustrated and designed these patterned bouquet wrap papers, and then used my sister's artwork and the logos I made for her to create greeting cards, business cards, jar labels, and branded stickers. This is one of my favorite childhood stories. I learned a great deal about operating for print in InDesign, and also gained valuable experience transferring my illustrations that were drawn in Procreate to InDesign in the proper format for print. One major design choice that I made in this project was to illustrate for older children or teens instead of for ages 5 to 10, as I believe the book was intended. The Kotobuki project is another great example of my keen interest in integrating illustrations into my work. Other than the copy and the images that were provided, which I edited in Photoshop to remove all backgrounds, these designs are primarily hand-drawn, including the koi fish and the logo. My goal was to portray this restaurant as very expensive and high quality, so I chose to work with green to represent wealth and black to represent formality and a sense of elegance. My choice of the script type for the logo and page titles has a traditional Oriental feel, and the typeface used for everything else is neat, clean, and refined. The IRE Visual Identity System Brand Design Guide is a project that demonstrates my ability to establish a company's branding and communicate those brand standards such that they can be applied to future brand designs by other designers. While I do have experience following brand guidelines in my work for the Experimental Aircraft Association, building the brand and guidelines myself helped me to understand the process more thoroughly. Figure One Foundation is a nonprofit organization that helps youth and aviators early in their careers to fund the training it takes to get their private pilot license or more advanced pilot certification add-ons. This project built on the IRE project because I had to research the Figure One brand to collect as much branding information as possible in order to create a newsletter that I felt could have been published by the company itself in terms of visual identity and content. The brand, colors, type, minimalist layout style, and images came from the company's website, along with most of the content. The 10th and final project I'll be covering in this portfolio tour is actually this video itself. To demonstrate my skill working with audio and video, I chose to record my portfolio tour audio and screen recordings separately. First, I used Adobe Audition to edit my audio so that there were no mistakes or long pauses, and I removed some of the content where needed in order to meet the time limit for this project. Next, I used Adobe After Effects to sync my screen recordings with my edited audio by using the time remapping feature, and carefully placed keyframes so that the time spent on each project of my portfolio website in a screen recording matched up with the audio section of that project. If you're interested in seeing the rest of the projects on my website, go to www.mershonart.com and have a look. Thank you for joining me on my portfolio tour.